Somewhere in the canyons of southern New Mexico, in the spring of 1887, a body was found hanging from a stone arch, stripped naked, throat slit, and a symbol carved into the man's chest. A circle with 3 jagged lines crossing through the middle, like a brand left behind by hell itself. Local ranchers said they knew who did it, or rather, what did it. They whispered one name, the Devils Posse. Now, think about that carved into somebody's body, like a circle with the triangle in it. You would think like the skin would fall off, right? I guess not. I guess, the skin sticks to it, whatever. Not a nickname, not some over-the-top newspaper moniker. That's what the locals actually called them. Because after what happened to Apache Springs 5 years earlier, and what came next, nobody believed they were just men anymore. And here's the thing. This gang was real. Or at least parts of them were. But almost no one talks about them today. There's barely a record. No dime novels, no pop culture mythologizing like Billy the Kid or Jesse James. Just a handful of rumors. And a trail of mutilated bodies from Arizona to Texas that even the Pinkertons wouldn't touch. So what happened? Who were they? Why did their story vanish? And what if the desert didn't forget? The American West in the 1880s was less like a chapter in a history book and more like a fever dream soaked in whiskey, gunpowder, and dust. The Civil War was over, but the frontier was still bleeding. Outlaws, drifters, former soldiers, bounty hunters, displaced native tribes, and broken men chasing gold all collided in a landscape that didn't care if you lived or died. You've heard of the big names, the James Younger Gang, the Daltons, Butch Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid, legends born from violence and newspaper ink. Gangs I covered in a previous episode. But in the borderlands, southern New Mexico, West Texas, southeastern Arizona, there were stories the papers didn't print. Tales told around campfires and in crumbling saloons about men who rode under a banner no one had seen, spoke a language no one could place, and left behind scenes of so horrific that even hardened gunmen turned pale. These stories centered around what came to be known as the Devils Posse, a loose term for a group of writers linked to more than a dozen unsolved killings, 3 vanished settlements, and a series of ritual displays left in the desert. The strange part? No official records, no trails, no capture. It's like they were real, but not meant to be remembered. The first confirmed incident linked to the posse was the destination of Apache Springs, New Mexico in June 1892. A mining camp, population 42, completely wiped out in a single night. Survivors? Just one. A half-deaf prospector named Eli Mather, who swore up and down that he saw 6 riders approach around dusk. All wore black dusters. None spoke. One of them, he said, had glowing eyes. Mather said they walked into the saloon, slit the bartender's throat, and then the scream started. When a search party arrived 3 days later, they found the entire camp burned to the ground. Bodies had been scalped, but not by native raiders. According to tribal witnesses, the methods were wrong. Some corpses were arranged in geometric patterns. Others had been posed upright with arms outstretched symbols carved into their flesh. No valuables were taken. The sheriff's office marked it unsolved, blamed Apache raiders, and buried the report. But the locals weren't buying it. They said the killers weren't Apache. They weren't even human. Unlike other outlaw gangs of the time, the Devils Posse never claimed credit. Never sent letters, never took trophies, but over time, stories began to emerge, mostly from drunks and dying men, describing some of its alleged members. Whether these figures were real, embellished, or symbolic depends on who you ask. Reverend Elijah Crane, a defrocked preacher from Georgia, Crane was reportedly excommunicated in 1874 after advocating fire and blood salvation, air quote that. Some accounts say he turned to outlaw work. Others say he began leading a desert cult, recruiting lost men with talk of a, quote, new god buried in the rock. He was known to carry both a crucifix and a scalpel. Eliza Belladonna Grady, a former saloon girl turned poisoner, supposedly killed 6 lawmen by slipping laudanum, however you pronounce that, and crushed oleander into their whiskey. Rumored to have been married, air quotes there, to 3 members of the gang, each of whom died in strange ways. I don't know, probably got poisoned. Silas Ward, an ex-Pinkerton detective turned gun for hire. He vanished after a botched job in Tombstone in 1881, only to reappear in rumors as the brains behind the posse's tactics. Known for torture, precision, and always wearing gloves. And the Rider in Smoke. This one's more myth than man. Said to be seen at night, on the outskirts of massacres watching from a hilltop. Pale horse, wide-brimmed hat, eyes like burning coal. Some claim he didn't speak. Others say he whispers in a language no one can understand. When bounty posters were circulated based on scattered eyewitness accounts, the descriptions never matched. Some claimed the gang rode with wolves. Others said their voices didn't echo. No one could confirm how many there were. 5? 9? A dozen? Maybe that was the point. Every massacre attributed to the Devils Posse had something in common. Symbols. Not graffiti, not gang tags, symbols. Carved into flesh, drawn in blood, burned into wooden beams, circles, triangles, horns, crossed lines, unfamiliar runes. Local tribal elders, both Apache and Mescalero, said they didn't recognize the markings. A few said they resembled old world witchcraft. Others refused to speak about them at all. At one site near Lordsburg, the skeletons of cattle were arranged in a spiral, bones bleached white, hooves pointed inward. A traveler passing through claimed he saw smoke rising from the formation and heard chanting, though no one was there. Ranchers reported finding altars, air quotes, in caves, stones stacked into crude towers with bones and animal skulls embedded at the base. Some swore they saw candles still burning. One man, a sheep herder named Francisco Ortega, went missing after reporting such a sight. His body was found weeks later with his eyes missing and the same jagged circle carved into his chest. Some historians speculate it was all psychological warfare, that the posse used terror and mysticism to cover their tracks. But even skeptics can't explain the accuracy of the symbols across sites hundreds of miles apart, or the strange number of disappearances tied to the trail. I mean, what do you think? In late 1883, after a massacre in Masilla that left a U.S. Marshal nailed to the doors of a church, a task force was formed. 6 bounty hunters, 3 marshals, 2 scouts, all armed, all veterans of Western manhunts. Only one came back. His name was Jonathan Baird, and he was found delirious outside a border town in West Texas. He had a shattered arm, severe dehydration, and a journal clutched to his chest. The journal's pages, partially legible, described the posse's trail leading to a canyon called Devil's Gate. Baird claimed they followed the raiders into the canyon, only to lose them in thick smoke. He said he heard chanting, said his men began turning on each other. The final entry? Quote, "The sky is wrong. The stars are still in the dirt. Something waits in the stone." End quote. Baird died a few days later from internal bleeding. No one ever found the Devil's Gate. Some say it was renamed. Others claim the canyon is cursed and buried by a landslide. After that, no more official attempts were made. The posse became the thing lawmen pretended not to see. Picture, like, if you've ever seen that movie where, like, they dress up like nuns to rob a bank, and then they all go to switch into the car, and the cop's like staring at them, and they're like staring back at the cop, and the cop's staring at them, and whatever, and then the cop just kind of goes, "I didn't see shit." Picture that. In 1890, the killing stopped. No more massacres, no more sightings, just silence. The last known attack was at a trading post near Deming. 4 bodies, same sigils, same methods, but something was different. A 5th corpse was found near the scene. Unknown, but wearing the same style of black duster. Gun still holstered, throat slashed. A message carved into the post's wall. Ashes return to ash. We are finished. Oh, God, it sounds like it could be a frickin' movie, man. Some say the gang imploded. That Crane turned on the others. That Belladonna poisoned them, all in revenge. Others say they rode south into Mexico to join a revolution. A few believe they succeeded in some kind of ritual, and that's why they stopped. Like, if you're done, right? But most locals agree on one thing. Something changed in the air. The desert got quieter, heavier. And then came the echoes. In 1953, a preacher in Tucson claimed a demon had, quote, ridden into his soul. During a sermon, he began reciting a chant in a language no one recognized and tried to carve a symbol into his own chest. He survived, but never spoke again. In 1984, a drifter was arrested in a ghost town outside El Paso. He had a crude version of the posse's circle and line symbol tattooed on his chest. He'd murdered 2 people, posed their bodies, and left a note. The posse rides still. Even in recent years, hikers report strange arrangements of bones in the hills. One paranormal group claimed to find matching symbols carved into stone across 4 states, always near ghost towns or abandoned mines. Some theorists believe descendants of the original posse still exist, passing down rituals, names, and beliefs, riding under different guises, using modern fear instead of revolvers. Others believe the posse never left, that they were never men, just something the desert made to punish those who tried to tame it. So what was the Devils Posse? A gang of violent outlaws who used fear as a weapon, a forgotten cult operating in the cracks of history, a myth built from fire and blood, or something worse? Well, here's what we know. There were real massacres. Real people vanished. Symbols exist. And for 8 years, a trail of death stretched across the borderlands with no clear explanation. Maybe the posse were just men. Or maybe the desert remembers things we've chosen to forget. Because out here, not everything that rides in the dark is looking for gold. Some are just looking for you. If you liked today's video, please like and subscribe. I'd love to have you around, and follow and comment below what you think may have happened. Personally, could have just straight up been demons. So, you never know. Could have just been a bunch of murderers that were just like on some murderous rampage, got their fill, and then freaking stopped. Who knows? Who knows? But it was real. It's all real. So, anyway, sources in the description as always, and we'll see you in the next one. We had another mic, but who chewed it? Oh, it's right. His name is Joker. Yeah, you chewed it, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Alright. So that is my brother's channel. Basically history of all types. Just essentially stuff that more left field or nuance as in typical channels won't cover stuff like that. So it's CrackedRelic. So go ahead and follow him. He just made the it's actually a podcast, but he just got it started, and you see he's got way more views than he has subscribers, which is a really good sign for a new channel. But I know about like the serial killers and true crime and all that, and serial killers either will keep going until they're stopped or caught or die, or they'll do a little bit of murders, stop, and then go back to it. Sometimes they'll go on a hiatus and make a return, and then usually if it said that they started in 2000 and then they're recorded as dying in like 2050, so they died at 50 years old,
and then the following year, the 51st year and onward, um, there's no more killings, well, then that tells you that that was the person doing it with their MO. Um, Reminds me of the Devil's Rejects as far as symbolism, because that's what the devil uses as symbols. If someone you're dating said, "Yeah, I'm just gonna marry you and then take half your money and get you for everything I got," well, that person would be about the dumbest con man or woman of all time. Meaning that the devil is not gonna like say, "Hey, I'm the devil. I'm gonna do this and that, and I want you to fix up a plan to stop me." Uh, and the reason I say that is because you said 1874. Then one guy came back up to 1954. That's obviously not a human being doing that. It would almost have to be a demon. Or it could just be a coincidence and there's a copycat. Um, so yeah, and also there's a lot of reasons why they try to cover stuff up because it would just reveal a lot of different things and then people could just have see things for what they really are when it comes to true crime and stuff. Uh, Actually, I will say one thing. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to make it too much of a sidebar. And I'm not joking, I'm being serious. Uh, what you think happened with the O.J. Simpson thing is not what you think happened. If I try to expound upon that, most people don't even know what I'm talking about. So, and I'm not talking about like guilty party. I'm talking about something totally different. Uh, but yeah, um, and there's thousands of stories like that around the world with different types of entities, demons, if you will, that have those types of patterns. Um, as far as the circles and symbols go, it obviously reminds me of Jigsaw from Saw. But I almost feel like Lucifer's wanting sacrifices from the demons so that they can still be up here on Earth doing their demon stuff. Because Lucifer wants you to sacrifice others, you know, animals or people, whatever, and God wants you to sacrifice of yourself. So, and obviously with almost 200 years or whatever of time on their hands, it's a lot of sacrifices en masse. But that's my thoughts on the video, and please go follow CrackedRelic, and that's it. That's recording for the video. God bless y'all.